Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Thursday, January 22nd. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and we've got our Thursday guest, David from Raleigh, North Kakalaki, back in the house. He was under the weather last week, but he's back in the fold here Thursday. So, David, you're still powering through it. You said you're not completely through the illness yet, but good enough to be on the show. And I understand what you're saying. I know it took me weeks until I was finally feeling 100% again with that illness I went through in the early part of December. And boy, it was rough. You guys know it. I'm dying here on the show to give you the show every day, 7 days a week. And I made it through, though. Gosh darn it, it took a while for that illness to pass through my system. But so I understand what you're saying there with that. But how are you? Things good?
Oh, yeah, doing a lot better now. Was struggling a little bit last week, but we're good to go now.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, it's just this time of year, too, I find the illness, it takes a little bit longer to get through your system. There's no question. Yeah, he was golfing. Yes, that's the obvious. He's got the golf apparel on. Just came off the course shooting around. So, and like I said, he had to get the round in before the weather that's clobbering most of the United States enters that. I mean, it is just a crazy weather event going on in many places right now. We had some crazy hockey events going on last night in NHL action, and we'll recap the Wednesday slate. I got to admit, it's been a great season. We're up over 40 units of profit. I can't complain too much, but when you're off a bit of a downer of a night, you will complain a little bit, and that was kind of the night for me a little bit here as far as – it wasn't all bad, though. I mean, the draw with Detroit and Toronto, that was a great hockey game. Boy, the goaltending was terrific in that game. Joe Woll and John Gibson, tip of the cap. Both of those guys played great. They had to face some real quality, high-danger scoring chances as well. And boy, did they fare quite well dealing with those chances. It's not like Detroit and Toronto didn't have prime scoring opportunities in that game, but the goalies were great. And all that ended up going in was a Scott Lawton goal early in the first. Simon Edvinsson on a breakdown by the Leafs off a face-off loss in the offensive zone. I know that's going to drive Craig Berube nuts. Are you shitting me? 18 seconds left in the period. We give up the tying goal on a clean face-off loss in the offensive zone. How the hell does that happen? But give Detroit credit for making them pay, and Edvinsson tying it up. And then in overtime, we all saw it. Tough moment for Easton Cowan, right? He's just leaned on by Big Mo Seider and ends up losing the puck, falling down on the play, and it creates an easy 2-on-1 the other way for the Red Wings. Seider to Larkin for the overtime winner and a 2-1 Detroit victory as they keep finding ways to win right now. And a big 2 points for them. Even in a losing cause, a big point for Toronto. Every point is significant because that point brings them to within one of the Boston Bruins, who hold the second wild card spot right now in the Eastern Conference. Philly, Utah, we cautioned everybody on the show. Philly committed to team defense against Vegas. Rick Tocchet was barking at them after the Ranger loss, saying, we've just got to manage the puck better. And for one game, they gave you a hell of a defensive effort. I mean, shutting down Vegas and beating them 2-1 the other night was very impressive. But the question was, could they replicate that once again versus the Utah Mammoth? And, well, for most of the game, they did. It was Philly had the game going the way they wanted. They were controlling the flow. They were out shooting Utah. They were up multiple goals in that game, including 4-2 going into the third period. But then penalty trouble, mistakes, lapses, and sometimes you just need a save. And Sam Ersson couldn't deliver one. And all of a sudden 4-2 becomes 4-4, and then Utah with the 5-4 comeback win in overtime. Very, very disheartening way to lose out on the second point in that game for the Philadelphia Flyers. So a tough loss for them. Back to the drawing board once again with their struggles to keep the puck out of the net, but give Utah all kinds of credit for that. And unfortunately, we're sad to report no Mikhail Sergachev over 1.5 shots on goal cash last night. For the second time in 21, 22 games, he stays under at home, his shots on goal prop. So, hey, you knew it was going to happen at some point, and last night did not get over that shot on the goal number. What a performance by Lukas Dostal for the Anaheim Ducks. the old Frank Costanza line from Seinfeld when he's retired from cooking and he says, "That's enough. I'm getting back into cooking. Give me that spatula." Cracks the egg. "I'm back, baby." Yeah, that's basically Lukas Dostal last night for the Anaheim Ducks. He's back. That was vintage, Luke. That's Dostal that we know. 40 saves, absolutely outstanding. Leads Anaheim to a 2-1 victory in a shootout. He was good in the shootout, too, for the Anaheim Ducks. Unfortunately, they lose the best bet with the over, but I'm almost like, you know what? Best bet lost. That sucks. But I still enjoyed watching that guy play in net last night. He was absolutely terrific for the Ducks, and we know he's capable of that. How many times have Alex and I been singing the praises of Dostal this year? And we said, don't panic. I know he's gone through a rough patch, and off the injury, he did not look good for a little bit, but he's getting his game back. I've noticed during this 5-game win streak with Anaheim, he's getting back to the Dostal that we know that he's capable of being. He's been a lot better, and boy, that was an outstanding performance from him last night for the Anaheim Ducks and beating the Colorado Avalanche. And they did it with no Mason McTavish, who was a late scratch, no Troy Terry, no Leo Carlson, and you still go in there and you beat a Colorado team that hasn't lost many games at all on home ice this season. So great win for Anaheim. And the Coach Q effect. It looked like everything, sky is falling, 9 straight losses, fell out of a playoff spot, doom and gloom for Anaheim after that great start. Now look, 5 straight wins, and guess who's back in a playoff spot again? 3rd place in the division again, Anaheim Ducks. So look at that, the calming influence of Joel Quenneville. Trust me, that man, and the veteran experience that he brings behind the bench.
Yep.
That matters, Alex. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, absolutely. And also having Lukas Dostal step up and steal a game, essentially, for your team. We talk about that all the time, how important it is to have your number one goaltenders steal you games throughout the season. Like you said, when you're missing a bunch of key guys up front, to get those kind of saves and to play that kind of clamp down style against the best team in hockey in Colorado, that's a huge win. Like you said, that's a Quenneville win. That's a Dostal win as a number one goalie stealing a victory for his team.
No doubt. Yeah, I think that's probably one of the best, if not the best game he's played this year. The Islanders, we lose with the Islanders last night, but we didn't lose everything. We got a big winner with Anthony Duclair. Bargain bin special last night, plus 330. Another show where we cash at least one bargain bin special of the night given out on the show. And last night it was Anthony Duclair for the New York Islanders, plus 330. And if you think I won with that, with Anthony Duclair, our guy, Jonathan Davis, I can't believe how many bets this goal cashed for him. Unbelievable. He had first goal for Duclair, first Islanders goal, just regular goal like we had, plus 330. He had power play point at like plus 550 for Anthony Duclair. I mean, this guy made I think he said something like 20 units off Anthony Duclair scoring, pretty much. I mean, crazy stuff, but way to go, JD.
Power play goal, and then he had assist and power play points on both of the guys who had assists on that goal.
Yeah.
Like that, it's as good as it gets.
I know. Congratulations, Mr. Jonathan Davis. Wow, what a result that ended up being for him. But 4-1 Seattle, nice win for the Kraken. And I think they looked a little road weary toward the end of that game too, the Islanders. They've been on this road trip for a while, and it definitely looked like it kind of caught up with them, all the travel in that game. But don't take anything away from Seattle. They were good. And Grubauer, who got the start last night, it's another good start for him. He's been a much better here of late. Pittsburgh, we were all over Pittsburgh. I think this was a strong consensus bet that we liked Pittsburgh last night. They take care of Calgary 4-1. Calgary's a fade right now. Without Anderson, they're weaker on the blue line, and boy, they are not generating a whole lot offensively without Anderson in these first 2 games as well. So Calgary's a pretty strong bet against team at the moment right now. And like I said, 4-1 Pittsburgh, nice to cash with the Penguins. Penguins back in action tonight against the Oilers in Edmonton. We'll get to that. And we wrap up the night with, thanks for nothing, Washington. Terrible job. I mean, Vancouver, I guess Vancouver was going to win eventually. They're not going to go 0 for the rest of the season. But boy, oh boy, bad loss for Washington there. Up 2-0. Can't even get out of the first period with the lead. Cost me my first period puck line. That really ticked me off. And then you don't score again, and you don't even hit the team total. That's a bad loss for Washington. It really is. And that's a loss now for them. The losses are mounting all of a sudden. They lost to San Jose. They lost to Florida. They lost to Colorado. 4-game losing streak now for this Washington Capitals team. But they lose 4-2. Let's give the Canucks some credit. Lankinen shut the door after the first period, played well. They were opportunistic. Brock Besser, it hasn't been the greatest of offensive seasons for him. And Vancouver's got to win a game when Evander Kane scores. That doesn't now is the luckiest goal you'll ever see. Basically banked it in off a Washington player in front of the net. But he'll take it at this point. And Vancouver gets a 4-2 win there in that game against Washington. Hard to bet Washington right now, but we'll get to this tomorrow on the Friday show. Their next opponent is Calgary. And I might give the Capitals one more chance to not let me down tomorrow night against the Flames. Because if they don't win that game against a listless Calgary Flames team, what we've seen in the first two games since they traded Rasmus Andersson, then there's real alarm bells starting to go off with the Washington Capitals. So we'll get to that tomorrow night. They play Calgary. Alex, your thoughts on what we saw Wednesday night?
Yeah, you pretty much did a good job of recap everything. Like I said, the Seattle game, we all cleaned up with. You mentioned how JD did, but you had the bargain bin with Duclair getting that goal. I was able to cash with first period over and my best bet on both teams to score in the first period. Shout out to Perlo, who had plus 600 on the 1-1 correct score. In the first period as well. So I mean, that's probably about as good of a game as we've all collectively had on a non-betcast night. Like usually with the betcast, we're all jumping in on something, but all of us had separate looks for the most part, and all of them cashed within that first 20 minutes in Seattle. So it's fun when you have nights like that. So that was certainly the highlight of the evening.
I happened to see one of David's posts on Twitter, so I know he had Pittsburgh last night. I was aware he had Pittsburgh on his card last night. I know that was one of your winners. How else did the night go?
Got a good 3 in one night. I had Utah too. That was one of those you go to bed, the game's pretty much over, wake up, and it's just a pretty much miracle. I mean, you saw the back check stick lift on the wide open empty net goal. That's fun to wake up to after it's been a tough overtime season for me. So that was good to get a little luck there. Then had Seattle as well, who I think they might need to start getting a little bit of respect. I mean, when Grubauer's actually in form again and playing like he belongs in the league, he's playing pretty well. So yeah, I
forgot about the angle too of Lane Lambert against his old team. Obviously maybe a little extra juice for the Seattle Kraken. Win one for the coach facing his former team, but they played well. Seattle, you're right.
Yeah, I think honestly, my opinion, they were kind of a team that I used to be fading a lot, but I think honestly that they've kind of flipped that switch. So yeah, excited for today.
Exactly, and it's a big card. I shouldn't say that. Actually, we've seen bigger cards on a Thursday than this in terms of number of games, but 8 is still a pretty decent portion. So off we go, and we'll start it with Vegas and Boston. We've got Vegas minus 145 road favorites, 6 the total, shaded to the over in this game. The first thought that stands out is this is normally a spot where I like to back the better teams, right? Vegas off a loss 2-1 to the Philadelphia Flyers on the other night earlier this week, and now looking to bounce back and starting a road trip. All of that pointed initially to me to want to bet Vegas in some form, and I actually did sprinkle on their team total over 3.5. They've been good off games where they've only scored 1 goal or less. They've been good bouncing back offensively the next game, and they do draw Jonas Korpisalo in net, who I don't trust game to game in between the pipes for the Bruins. But the specter of Mitch Marner's grand return to Toronto tomorrow night against the Toronto Maple Leafs, it does loom large and maybe makes this a little bit more of a dubious spot than it otherwise would be for the Vegas Golden Knights. But, you get a Bruins team that got pumped by Dallas 6-2, a Bruins team that had been winning games, but the schedule was kind of light for them. Vegas might be able to come in here and still get the job done. So I did bet team total over here in this spot with Vegas small, but I like the full game over much more. We're starting to pick up on these performance pattern totals trends with teams when good offensive teams, when they get shut down in the previous game. We talked about it all along with Philadelphia when they had scored 1 goal or less, how good they have been to the over this season. We've talked about it a couple of times with some other teams. We're going to talk about it with another team later in the card. And for Vegas this year, 6 previous instances, they have scored 1 goal or less this season in a game. And in the next game, Vegas is trending 5-1 to the over in those 6 games. So we have seen a consistent pattern of higher scoring games with the Vegas Golden Knights following a game where they only score 1 goal or less. And of course, that's what happened in their last game. They only got 1 goal in the loss against the Philadelphia Flyers. So that's a strong trend. 4 straight overs in the series, Golden Knights and Bruins. 3 straight overs at TD Garden in Boston between the Golden Knights and the Bruins as well. I don't trust Schmid either. I think the Bruins might be able to find the back of the net facing Akira Schmid in this game for the Vegas Golden Knights. We'll see about Rasmus Andersson making his Golden Knights debut. The visa issues are causing the delay. There was talk maybe he'd be ready to rock here for this game against Boston, but I don't think that's the case. Don't think he's ready to go. No, Andersson not ready to return here. Visa issues. He's not playing tonight. The next opportunity, I guess, will be tomorrow. Bruce Cassidy said his status for tomorrow is up in the air against Toronto. So that could be the spot where he makes his debut. But regardless, I like the over here, 6. Smaller bet on the team total over for the Golden Knights. We'll start with David on this one. David, what do you think? Vegas, Boston.
Yeah, I got Vegas at minus 140. I think I'm pretty low on Corpusalo. It's a pretty decent downgrade from Swayman. I think Vegas is a team I want to start betting over the next couple months. They kind of had a tough draw of things. They got 12 overtime losses. Yeah, it's been some tough luck for them. I think they've been playing a little bit better all season than what the record says. Not that it's a bad record, but obviously you expect them to be pretty dominant with the lineup they have. So yeah, I think it's a good spot for Vegas. I'm not quite gotten there on the over, but it's tough to trust Corpusalo. And you saw, like you said, Vegas scoring just once against the Flyers at home in a game that they pretty much dominated all the way through. So yeah, I like Vegas in the over here.
Sorry about that. As far as props for this game with Vegas and Boston, there are a couple that I am definitely interested in. Again, with Husnudinov still on the top line, I'd look at maybe Fraser Minton too. 4 of the last 10 games, he scored a goal. And considering those percentages of late, to be able to get in that plus 550 to 600 range with him to score is probably some solid value there in that game for the Boston Bruins. I think from a Vegas standpoint, you look at their lineup, Dorofeyev heating up again. He is a streaky bastard, as we know. So when he's starting to heat up and score, that's when you bet him. And right now, that could be the time to look toward him for a goal prop here in this one. Alex, what do you think here? Golden Knights, Bruins.
Yeah, this is an over by factor for me, but I'm pregame playing the first period over 1.5 minus 130. I'm going to try and wait and catch a 6 in game with that full game over. But like I said, with Korpisalo and Schmid, I could see goals going back and forth. Would lean more toward the Bruins side, like I said, with that game with Vegas looming against Toronto. I could really see them getting geared up. Like I said, Rasmus Andersson, if he's having visa issues, it's probably easy for him to still be in Canada and play that game with the Leafs tomorrow anyway. So to have him along with Mitch Marner's return to the Leafs, I'd be looking more toward Vegas tomorrow, leaning a little toward Boston tonight. But like I said, I like the over by factor.
Yeah, 7 of the last 10 for Boston, 6 of the last 10 for Vegas first period. I might turn it into a bifecta. I did not have this as a bifecta initially. I might turn it into one here. That's good enough. I mean, there's other over bifectas I've got on the card, but I might turn this one into one of those. All right, here we go. Drop those gloves. Let's see it. David and Alex, they got to go at it, just like Bobrovsky and Nedeljkovic did the other night, because it's Chicago and Carolina next up here. We've got Carolina minus 300, home favorites. The total here sitting at 6, shaded to the over. I have one bet that I feel really good about, and we think this is a Freddie Anderson night. We think it's going to be a Frederik Andersen start. Even David, who's locked in and tuned in with the Hurricanes, seems to think that it's going to be Frederik Andersen here tonight in net.
It's 90%.
Yeah.
90% or so should be.
Yeah, and they got to get Bussy, or as great as Bussy's been, they need to give him, a couple of games to catch his breath and get some rest. You can't wear him into the ground. Remember, he's not used to playing this many games in the NHL for one given season. So this looks like a Freddie Andersen start. It should be Spencer Knight in net for the Chicago Blackhawks. He's coming off a couple of really good performances. He was good against Winnipeg in the shutout, obviously, with the special night with Jonathan Taves, being making his return back to Chicago. So we'll see. I'm obviously I am interested in Blackhawks in some form and or team total over if it is Freddie Andersen. But the one bet I've already made, and I like this regardless of the situation with Carolina and net, even though I do think it's going to be Freddie Andersen. This is our system play. We got a minus 300 favorite, Carolina. And we've talked about this a lot of late and all season and last year. Underdogs against favorites of minus 300 or greater. They've scored a goal in the first period quite a bit, and I think Chicago can get on the board in the first period. So I'm on Chicago first period goal minus 112 at FanDuel. Very good price with that. And keep in mind, the last time Chicago played in Carolina, they lost 3-2, but one of those 2 goals were in the first period. Chicago was able to score in the first period of that game. And I also think this could be a spot for Carolina. Had a whirlwind weekend in a positive manner. They bombed Florida, who have had their number, and Carolina basically, got years of frustration out in that game, pounding the Panthers 9-1 last Friday night. Saturday, in a tough back-to-back spot, coming off that great win against Florida, they got the job done 4-1 against the New Jersey Devils. And then Monday, 3rd and 4 nights, against one of the hottest teams in the NHL, the Buffalo Sabres, early Monday afternoon, I should say, they ended up beating Buffalo 2-1. So you're off those 3 great wins, had a couple days, and now here's the Blackhawks, coming into town. And I wouldn't be shocked if Carolina's a little dopey, a little lackadaisical, little sleep, little stale, early in this hockey game, and Chicago can pounce and get on the board early. So I like that a lot. Chicago first period goal for me in this one is what I like most. Alex, what do you think? Chicago, Carolina.
Yeah, so like I said, we have to wait for the official confirmation of Freddie Anderson. More than likely leaning that way, and if it is, I will be heavy on Hawks early in this contest. I like that first period team total over half at minus 112. I also like first goal, first period. You get plus 195 with that over at FanDuel. So those are plays I already have locked in. What I will be adding once we get confirmation of Anderson will be Hawks team total over 2.5 plus 120. And I will be going Hawks money line tied with the over 4.5 as high as plus 310 at BetMGM. So I think this is a spot where, like I said, the Hawks can get to a Freddie Anderson. You got Frank Nazar returning to the lineup, a guy who said he's been ready to roll for the last 3-4 weeks, recovering from that broken jaw. It's just a matter of them letting him go, letting him play. I believe he'll be wearing the fishbowl tonight. I'm not sure on that, but he's back in the lineup. So now you got your full complement of offense. You got Spencer Knight feeling good off of a shutout. This could be a game where the Hawks get a piece of Carolina. Haven't won against them since back in the 2021 season when these two teams were briefly division opponents. So it's been all Carolina series. I expect that to change tonight. So like I said, looking more a Hawks team total first period looks, and then we'll add more if we get the confirmation of Anderson.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to if they're going to win the game, but because obviously they've lost 8 straight, to Carolina, and even in the last game where Chicago scored in the first period in Carolina, Carolina still ended up coming back, winning that game 3-2. You could see that again tonight, so I'm not fully on board with believe me, I'm going to have a small pizza money bet on Chicago plus 250 if it's Anderson. Guaranteed I will. I have to take that price, even for just a small bet. With him in net, you have to. And it's not the optimal A spot for Carolina either. They're off 3 big-time wins in a row. Florida, they hate Florida's guts. New Jersey in a tough back-to-back. Buffalo's a great team, and they romped in that game. And this is a spot for a potential down spot and a flat spot. The question is, do we trust Chicago enough to actually win the game over the course of 60 minutes? Not fully, but if you're going to give me Anderson in net and you're going to give me plus 250 on Chicago, I'm going to have to sprinkle on it. But the bet that I truly love here is just Chicago goal in the first period in this game. David, what do you think here, Chicago, Carolina?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you guys were saying. I think this is a good spot for, honestly, an over at 6 flat. What Chicago's good at is pretty much what the Canes have been struggling with. Canes have been struggling with teams on the counter, getting in behind the defense. Kind of gotten a little fortunate with Bussy being just unreal in these high danger chances. Freddie's a little bit worse, probably a lot bit worse in these high danger situations. So I think this is a good spot for the Blackhawks to score early, and then I think the Canes are gonna dominate the zone time pretty well. The Blackhawks kind of let you come at them and hold the ice tilt. So I think we see the Canes holding it in the Chicago zone for much of the game, and I think the Blackhawks can get some good counters. I think the over 6 is a good bet, and I like some props. I like Knight over 27.5 saves. I think the Canes are just going to be launching everything at the net. I like some Canes defensemen shots on goal over. You got Nikishin over 1.5, Walker over 2.5, plus 150. Keandre Miller over 1.5, and I think we got some good goal scorer props. Chicago is gives up the most shots on goal to defensemen in the league per game this season. So I think with all the zone time that the Canes should have in this game, I think if you target some of the defensemen with some anytime goal scorer bets, and then Spencer Knight over saves, I think those are the best ways to approach this game with the over.
Yeah, Knight over saves makes sense. I mean, we know Carolina's a shot volume machine at home. Last year, they actually only had 27 shots, but they still outshot Chicago 27-20. But the two previous home games before that against Chicago, 42-17, 49-24 shots advantage for Carolina over Chicago here in this building. So we still do expect Carolina to obviously have more zone time, more shots on goal, because that's just what they do. That's Carolina.
Right.
That's
That's
their
what
game.
I think.
Yep.
I think you're looking at, especially with Gossespierre out too. I forgot to say that. You're looking at the guys, these other guys filling in, like Chatfield on the top line. He's getting 20, 22, 23 minutes a game. Sean Walker getting 22, 23. I think Keandre Miller's averaging 25 minutes per game over the last four with Gossespierre out. So I think if you target like Chatfield plus 1,100, Keandre Miller plus 600, Sean Walker plus 800, and I think that's the best way to approach it.
All right. Well, good question from Jonathan there for David. Do we like Nikishin point plus 130?
I do. I think instead of point plus 130, I think you approach a power play point. I think it's in the plus 375, plus 400 range. He's playing on the third line right now with Gossespierre out, and with Nystrom, he's only getting 15 or 16 minutes a game. So, but he's quarterbacking the power play, which is a point machine for the Canes.
All right, indeed, good stuff. All right, Buffalo, Montreal, nice Atlantic Division battle next up here. By the way, Nazar being back is huge, no question for Chicago tonight. They'll be happy to have him back, help out offensively. Buffalo, Montreal minus 120 home favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. This should be a good one. Buffalo obviously continuing to play well, 16-4 their last 20. They bounced back from the loss to Carolina and beat Nashville on the back-to-back 5-3 in their last game. We'll see if they can continue here. They beat Montreal 5-3 in Buffalo just 7 days ago. So it's another matchup between these two teams. It's a revenge spot for the Habs. The Habs had beaten the Sabres 5 straight times before the Sabres finally got the better of the Habs 5-3. I just don't want to, especially at plus money, I don't want to fade Buffalo that much. I do think I lean Montreal here. I wouldn't be shocked if they get the home win here in this game, but I just don't want to fade Buffalo that much. What I do want in this game is the bifecta over here. Over bifecta. Buffalo's trending first period over quite heavily. So is Montreal in the last several games. All these teams seem to do is score goals against one another. 5-3 in the last meeting. We saw 4-3, 6-1, 7-5, 6-1. Especially the games in Montreal have certainly been trending over between these two teams. Montembeault starting to, here's the thing with Sam Montembeault. He's going to get the start here tonight for the Montreal Canadiens. We thought after his call up from the Laval, oh my gosh, Montembeault's playing great. Maybe he's found his game again. Well, 2 of those 3 great performances were against Florida. And I'm here to tell you, he always plays well against Florida. For some reason, that guy dominates the Florida Panthers. He turns into Patrick Waugh, Ken Dryden in their prime against the Florida Panthers. I don't know why, but he just does. That's what happens with Sam Montembeault when he plays Florida.
Old team angle.
Old team angle. So 2 of his 3 really good starts were against Florida. But then you look at the last few, he gave up 3 in one start, and then he just got lit up by Ottawa. He gave up 5 goals. Thankfully, Montreal's offense bailed him out, came back and beat Ottawa 6-5 in that game. But he was in net for that game and gave up 5 goals. So I'm still not sold he's all the way back on track here, Sam Montembeault. And then you turn it around to UPL, picked a pack of pickled peppers, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, who's going to start tonight for Buffalo. We've talked about this all season. At home, he's freaking Dominic Hasek, 8-1-1 and sub 2 goals against, 900 save percentage. On the road, he's 2-7-1. He's got 3.08 goals against and a 80 save percentage. So he hasn't been as good on the road, UPL, and it's pretty much been that way all season. He's more susceptible to giving up goals away from home. So put it all together, I'm on the over by Fecta here with Sabres and Habs. Alex, anything here? Buffalo, Montreal.
Yeah, this is an over trifecta, but the way I'm playing it is pregame, full game over 6.5, minus $1.15 at FanDuel. Both teams to score in the first, plus 158, also available at FanDuel. And then I'm waiting in game to try and get that first period over a little bit cheaper, something in the minus 130 range is what I'll be shooting for in game.
All right, there you go. David, what about you here? Sabres, Habs.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the over and the Canadians here. We saw the inverse matchup exactly a week ago. Watched that game, didn't have anything on it, but the Canadians were the better team in that game on the road. I think it's a good spot for them. The Sabres have started to trend down a little bit analytically, dropped -6 expected goal margin the last 5 games. I think the Canadians are looking a little better, and I think it's a good revenge spot off of last week. I like the over, the Canadians team total over 3.5. I think it's around plus 115, and then the Canadians money line minus 115 or minus 120.
It's also 6 straight first period overs for Buffalo coming into this game here tonight. 6 straight first period overs for the Buffalo Sabres entering this game. So we'll see if that continues. Remember, even though Buffalo Carolina was 2-1, 2 of the 3 goals were in the first period. It was 1-1 after the first period of that game. So yeah, it is 6 straight first period overs for the Buffalo Sabres. By the way, big news for the Sabres outside of Terry Pegula and his clown show press conference yesterday for the Buffalo Bills. I couldn't believe that. That was some of the most mind-numbing, dumb, ridiculous nonsense I've ever seen in a press conference after you fire a coach. But that's a different sport. That's another story. Some good news in the other Buffalo team, the Sabres team. Josh Doan re-signed long-term. Great to get it done now. Nice team-friendly contract for the Buffalo Sabres. A guy that is going to be, I think, a guy that they're going to count on moving forward. He's deserving of it. He's a hard-working player, shows up every night, brings his lunch pail, brings his hard hat, and always plays well, plays hard with great effort for the Sabres. And we know the contract bump angle has been a real thing lately. We've seen a lot of contracts lately given out and people re-sign for extensions. And we've seen at times these players ride the wave of the contract extension and make an impact. So we got to look at some Josh Doan tonight, whether it's goal prop, assist prop, points props. I think that's worth a look there with Josh Doan coming off re-signing the contract. Noah Ostlund started to heat up. He's plus 360 for Buffalo. That's a good one. Maybe you go back to the well with the kid that just got called up, scored his first NHL goal against Nashville, Consta Helenius. You can get him over plus 500 for the Buffalo Sabres tonight in this game. Maybe Lane Hudson to score a goal too, because I'm telling you, ever since he got the snub for the Olympic team, and he's getting more aggressive offensively and maybe shooting the puck more as well. I also want to point out it looks like there could be a lineup tweak here for Montreal. I think they've often had, moving parts playing with Caulfield and Suzuki. It's been, Bolduc at times. It was Tessier, but now Tessier is out for Montreal. I'm seeing Kirby Dach now up on that top line for Montreal with Caulfield and Suzuki. So probably some good prop value tonight for Kirby Dach, assuming he's going to play with Caulfield and with Suzuki on the top line here tonight for the Montreal Canadiens. That's a good game, though. Looking forward to it. All right, Dallas Stars, Columbus Blue Jackets. Got even money here, minus 110 both sides, 6.5 the total in this one. So I'm off Columbus tonight. We said we were going to ride them until they lost a game under the new head coach, Rick Bowness, following the coaching change. That's what we do. When there's a coaching change, we just start betting on that team and we ride them as long as they keep winning. And then when they get that first loss, we usually jump off the train. And that's what I'm going to do here. But I'm not going to bet Dallas either here in this spot. That being said, I'm leery of betting against Dallas. How often have I mentioned this on the show when a team's going through a rut, a losing streak, and they finally snap out of it? And the Stars did snap out of it in a big way. They dummied the Bruins last game 6-2. Probably could have been even worse than it was. But nevertheless, they bounced back. They got on track. And sometimes when you snap a losing streak and you win that first game to break the drought, sometimes you can go on a bit of a run. That could happen here for Dallas in this game. That being said, Casey DeSmith will get this start in net, not Jake Ottinger tonight. Jet Greaves starting in net for Columbus. That is not a surprise because of Elvis Merzlikins leaving the game due to an illness against Ottawa on Tuesday night. He was puking in the dressing room from all reports and from what I heard. So obviously wasn't feeling good. So Jet Greaves will be starting here for the Jackets in this game. This one I didn't bet initially, and I didn't mention this on the show I do earlier on on Thursdays with Jimmy the Bag, but I'm going to get involved with the draw a little bit here. Just a small draw bet, Stars and Blue Jackets. I think there's a decent chance we see this game go beyond 60 minutes. I think it'll be a close game. I think it will be a competitive game. Do think the draw might be worth a shot here. This is not an over I like. Columbus is trying to tighten up. Columbus is trying to play more responsible team structure, more responsible defensive hockey under Rick Bowness. We saw the Ottawa game stay under 4-1 the other night. We'll see if that continues here. But and Greaves in net, who we know is very capable when he's on top of his game. And Casey DeSmith, even though he's the backup, he's played better this season in a backup role than a lot of people would think. So this could be low scoring, in my opinion, but I'm on the draw. That's my official play here in this game. Alex, Dallas, Columbus.
Yep, I was shopping around. Best price available for that draw is over at Bet Online. You can get a plus 320 right there with you. This feels like a draw season spot. East versus West. Both teams know they need the points. He said Dallas, trying to keep that momentum flowing after breaking the losing streak. Columbus trying to get momentum back after losing it for the first time with Bowness as the coach. So this definitely feels, and you have Bowness going up against an old team as well. For what that's worth. But I feel like like I said, this spot just feels like it's going to be a back and forth battle and go into OT. So draw plus 320 is the only bet I have as well.
All right, David, anything here you like? Stars, Blue Jackets.
Yeah, I like Columbus here at minus 110. Since the coaching change, they got a plus 10 expected goal margin. They're playing much better. They're playing much tighter, not allowing as much. And I think everything depends on who's in net for the Blue Jackets. Merzlikins in net, you just can't bet him at all. I thought they were the better team against the Senators a couple nights ago. They only allowed 1.4 expected goals, kind of shut them down. I like the Blue Jackets here. I think it's a good spot to back them at home.
All right. Like I say, I'm not ready to bet against Columbus. That's for sure. I won't be on them tonight, but like I said, this would be a good game to gauge them though moving forward. Was that just a situation where they just had the coach bump and now it's back to the old Blue Jackets? They start losing again, or do they nip this in the bud? And do they have obviously a bounce back performance here after the game against Ottawa? It's a great game to really observe if Columbus can truly get back into the race, because if they lose tonight and then they go into skid, they're not getting back into anything. And they're probably not making the playoffs anyway. It's going to take something heroic for them to get certainly in the playoffs. But this is going to be a good gauge for that for sure. I was looking at Justin putting on the Ritz, Justin Ritskovian again for the Dallas Stars, but it looks like he might be on the third line tonight, not the top line. Steele, Duchesne, and Johnston on the top line. Good news for Columbus, though, tonight. They're still without Matejchuk and Fabro, two of their defensemen, but back off the IR tonight is Mason Marchment for the Columbus Blue Jackets. And Mason Marchment, of course, we know who he's playing tonight, his former team, the Dallas Stars. He spent many good years there, and playing alongside Adam Fantilli and Kirill Marchenko on the top line for the Jackets tonight. So you got to believe we got to give Mason Marchment goal prop a very good long look tonight, and you can get plus 330 DraftKings on that. This could be one of these deals too where he scored a lot early in games as well for the Jackets. First goal, or at least first Jackets goal, could be worth a look here for Mason Marchment tonight, because I don't know off the top of my head, but Mason Marchment, I know for a fact, he scored the first goal of the game for the Jackets at least a couple of times since he was acquired from the Seattle Kraken. So maybe go for the jugular. Don't just stop at Marchment plus 330. Maybe go toward the first goal or the first Jackets team goal here tonight in this game as well. And yes, Mikko Rantanen is out again. He did not play against Boston. Clearly, they do miss him obviously long term, but they didn't miss him the other night because they still beat Boston 6-2 without him. But still, it is an absence that does matter. And like I said, he will miss a second straight game here for the Dallas Stars tonight. All right, Florida
30-1, by the way. 30-1 on that Mason Marchment first goal. So
yeah, that's worth it. That's worth pizza money. That's worth a dabble. At a price like that. We know he's been good. He's been scoring since he got to Columbus. He's facing his old team. That angle's in play. And again, he's got the opportunity, I think, to maybe find the back of the net here, potentially very early here in this game. Yeah, just double checking those numbers with him. Marchment, since getting to Columbus, boy, oh boy, it's been good. 2, 3, 4, 5 goals he had in 7 games before the injury. With the Columbus Blue Jackets. So pretty good production. All right, Florida, Winnipeg. We've got even money, -110. Oh, yeah, Coyle, thank you. Coyle's 1,000th game, 1,000th career game in the NHL tonight for Charlie Coyle. I can't believe we're getting that old. That Charlie freaking Coyle is playing his 1,000th NHL game tonight. That's crazy to me.
it is crazy, yeah.
1,000th game for Charlie Coyle. Doesn't seem like he's been in the league that long just yet. So, yeah, I'll take the Coyle prop. Coyle was red hot for a bit, cooled off a little bit the last couple games, but 1,000th night, 1,000th game night, milestone night, 1,000th career game, +400 for Charlie Coyle. Yeah, worth a shot. Florida, Buffalo, we've got even money, -110, both sides, 5.5 the total in this game. I'm taking a stand here with Florida tonight. I'm on them at an even money price, -110. Give me the Panthers here in this spot. This is backs against the wall, get it done time. You have to have this one. This is make or break time of the year for Florida because we are now getting to the point, guys, with where they're at in the standings. Still several points behind the wild card spots, running out of time. Lots of teams to leapfrog. That Florida needs to get their shit together right now and put wins on the board. And they're starting a road trip. They've had 2 days off to stew from losing to the San Jose Sharks at home, 4-1, and a rough game. The crazy scrap with Bobrovsky and Nedeljkovic, obviously. They've had 2 days off since then. Haven't played since Monday. You're starting a road trip. I expect you to be dialed in. This is A+. This spot screams A+ effort for the Florida Panthers. That whatever best game you have, you're supposed to throw it at the Winnipeg Jets tonight in this situation where you've had 2 days off and you're obviously playing a Winnipeg team that, let's be honest, they're inconsistent. They had that crazy bad losing. They had that awful losing streak. Then they ripped off a bunch of wins. Then they lost a couple of games in a row. And now, of course, I think coming into tonight, they've won a couple in a row again. And maybe they continue streaking. Maybe they do win. Who knows? Well, actually, no, they just won the 1 game to snap the 2-game losing streak. They beat St. Louis 3-1. But the more I look at the recent Jets victories, LA, no big deal. New Jersey, inconsistent. The Islander win was pretty impressive. Minnesota as well. We'll give them that. But I think Minnesota was in a pretty tough spot there in that game. And then St. Louis, which isn't anything to write home about. St. Louis can't win on the road. Florida's been off for 2 days. You're starting a very important 3-game road swing here. I expect a better step-up effort and performance from the Panthers. Will it be enough to win? We'll see, because there's still defensive issues. There's still concerns about Bobrovsky's level of play, which hasn't been great. I get all that. And Winnipeg's dominated Florida. I get all that. Is it? Oh, really? I actually don't think that's the worst thing in the world, honestly.
I think that's an upgrade.
Yeah,
I think it might be an upgrade.
Yeah, it is Tarasov. I still like Florida. I'm buying into the team, stepping up, getting it done here tonight against they got to have this. They got to get off to a good start. They're running out of games. They're running out of racetrack. They're several points out of the wild card. They need to get on a run. And Winnipeg's flighty enough, in my mind, that Florida can get this job done here. Now, the one concern, too, and I'm aware of this as well, that Winnipeg's 5-1 in the last 6 meetings against Florida. They've played this team very well. I know they've beaten Florida 3 straight times here at home. I get all that as well. But this is a last stand type of spot for me for the Panthers. So I will take a shot with them -110. And I do like the over. I do like the over as well. Over 5.5 here, which you can get -130 at DraftKings. Is still available with the over 5.5 here in this game. I do think there's goals. I know Winnipeg's cooled off 2 straight unders, but they're still 9-2 to the over in their last 11 games. The games in Winnipeg have been nothing but overs between these two teams, the Panthers and Jets, 6-3, 6-4, 5-2, 5-3. the last few meetings in Winnipeg between these two teams. So over 5.5, but I'll be on Florida here. Minus 110. Alex, what do you think here? Florida, Winnipeg.
Yeah, now that it's Tarasov, I'm actually leaning now toward draw as well as Panthers, which would mean I would be grabbing that plus 550 at FanDuel for the overtime or shootout win. I was leaning toward looking at team total flat over 3 at minus $1.15, but that's going to be off my card now that I like dog and draw here in this sense. So Panthers minus 105, Panthers Jets draw, and then give me the Panthers to win in overtime or overtime or shootout, I should say, plus 550 available at FanDuel.
Yeah, you know what? Two teams they played at home lately, Toronto and Vegas, Winnipeg, that is. They both went to overtime. Teams that are in that kind of caliber, if you will, or category of Florida. So the draw might have a shot here tonight. What do you think, David?
First goal, first period. I'm sorry. First goal, first period, plus 135.
I think you've taught me into that. You're right. For some reason, I didn't think of that. But, starting a road trip, 2 days off, right? San Jose loss on Monday. It's time to come out and mean business here if you're the Florida Panthers. I think I'll tack that on my card as well. That first goal, first period at a decent price here for Florida tonight. David, what do you think here? Florida, Winnipeg.
Yeah, I don't have anything yet, but I kind of agree with you on Florida. Bobrovsky's kind of honestly struggled a bit. He's starting to get a little older, and I think over the last 5 games, he's saved 8 goals under expected. He's struggling big time.
And he's been struggling to throw punches that land as well, as we saw on Monday.
True. This is true. I mean, the line didn't really move much on the Tarasov being in net, so honestly, I don't think there's much weight in that. Winnipeg is just not the same team that they were. They kind of get held up by Hellebuck a little bit, losing Ehlers, and they're sitting at 28th in 5-on-5 expected goal share this season. I haven't gotten there yet on Florida, but in a gotta have it spot, I think this is a good spot to take them.
All right, there you go. Good stuff indeed. I like them. Like I said, this is and look, form. There's reasons to think Winnipeg's going to win. I get it. They played Florida well. Florida's not great on the road. This is just betting on the character and the Stanley Cup mentality and the Stanley Cup, medal that this team has shown in the last few years. Maybe they're out of gas. Maybe they just don't have it in them to, turn the crank here and get on a run down the stretch. And if that's the case, Winnipeg can win this game. There's no question. But that's why I'm taking my chance here. I'm just betting on the freaking mettle and character of this team that we've seen on display here the last few games. So again, that's a very fascinating hockey game, though. Very interested to see how it goes. And as we just mentioned, Tarasov in net for the Florida Panthers tonight in this one. As far as props for this one, Scheifele, Luostarinen, and Morrissey have scored in the last game. Jonathan Toews, we've talked about it with him. He's picked up a little bit offensively in recent games. Maybe look at Evan Rodriguez, has had success against Winnipeg. A lot of success against Winnipeg. So maybe Evan Rodriguez worth a look here tonight for the Florida Panthers. All right, Ottawa, Nashville, even money, minus 110. Some books have Ottawa slight minus 115, road favorite. The total here, 6.5, pretty much across the board. I think it's a great spot for Ottawa, quite honestly. I think Ottawa's one of these analytic darlings where the metrics look good, and David will know this. They're a good analytic team. A lot of their expected goals and all this stuff look very good. But the record hasn't matched that. Why hasn't the record matched that? Well, being without Allmark and shitty goaltending is why. They've had to deal with Merrill-Linen and Sanderson throwing him under the bus for how bad he's been. They had Hunter Shepard in there for a game or two. He's no good, not at the NHL level anyway right now. And James Reimer is now the guy at the moment until Allmark's ready to come back. And the jury's still out on him. That being said, he played very well against Columbus. That was one of the better performances I've seen from James Reimer in quite some time for the Senators. We'll see if he can keep it rolling here in this game. But I do indeed like Ottawa here, and I'll split it with team total over 3. I'll get a flat 3 on the team total with Ottawa here in this game at minus 128. Nashville's a sieve defensively of late. It's real concerning. But you see what the goals they're giving up. So Ottawa minus 112, money line, Ottawa team total over 3, minus 128. And I'm on the over by Fecta here as well. This is another over by Fecta. It's 11 straight first period overs for the Ottawa Senators going into this game. I mean, they're the hottest first period over team in the NHL right now. The Ottawa Senators, 11 straight first period overs for the Ottawa Senators. So it's definitely an over by Fecta spot. I get the trepidation and trusting James Reimer for a second straight game. Trust me, I know he's very capable of letting one goal in against Columbus and giving up 5 tonight. It's possible. But I want to throw out UC Saros here, who's in net tonight again for Nashville. This is getting concerning, the workload for UC Saros right now. He's already been in net for 38 games this season. That is a lot. That is a lot. And his numbers are falling off a cliff right now, UC Saros. And he's getting lit up. And he's given up, 3, 4, 5 goals regularly. He was in net against Buffalo the other night, and he wasn't very good in that game. He's just playing a lot, and he's an older goalie now. You have to be careful with just riding him into the ditch like this if you're Andrew Burnett and playing him too much. And his performance has suffered big time as a result of that. And Ottawa is definitely generating chances. So I think Ottawa wins a 4-3, 5-4 type of game tonight. Alex, what do you think? Ottawa, Nashville.
Can't touch either one of these sides, but you made great points about UC Saros being overworked year after year after year, and he has to be because you can't trust in your backups. With that being said, like I said, the hottest run in hockey right now is the first period over with Sens. You can still get a minus 128 at FanDuel with the over 1.5. So liking that spot. It's the only thing I'm rolling with here.
David, how about you? Ottawa, Nashville.
Yeah, I've liked betting on Ottawa a lot all season, but I think the Predators are playing the best hockey of the season so far. I mean, you saw that game in Colorado. They've had a tough little schedule over the past couple weeks.
Their offense is in good form.
Beat Edmonton.
Yep.
Right. So I mean, I don't think I can get there with anything on this one. Yeah, probably would lean to the over, but no play for me.
All right. As far as props for Ottawa and Nashville, David Perron, by the way, is out for the Ottawa Senators tonight in this game. He won't be going, but we got Philip Forsberg's on a 3-game goal scoring streak for the Predators going into this game. I'm looking at the Ottawa lineup. Who's going to be there? It looks like Zetterlund on the top line. Gregg's moved up to the second line. Gregg scored last game too, so maybe Ridley Gregg worth a look here for the Ottawa Senators. Those are some of the main props. Obviously, when it comes to Nashville, Forsberg's on a roll. Stamkos has obviously been. Ryan O'Reilly has really picked his offensive game up of late. So suddenly you got some of those veterans. I mean, where were the veterans last year? Everyone was so excited. O'Reilly, Stamkos, all together on the same team, and it's taken them till now to finally get some consistency going offensively. But I guess better late than never for Barry Trotz and his Nashville Predators. All right, Pittsburgh, Edmonton. We've got Edmonton minus 170, home favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. This is an interesting one because you got Edmonton off a 2-1 loss to Jersey. Allen played well. They had their chances, but at the same time, I don't think they played a great game. They lacked some pop. They lacked some pace in that New Jersey-Edmonton game. We were on the BetCast Tuesday night watching that game. They just lacked something. There was just, they were getting some chances as the game went on and they were trailing, but they weren't controlling the flow, especially while trailing like we usually see the Edmonton Oilers. And you wonder if some of that is attributed to the absence of Leon Draisaitl, who's going to be out, obviously, once again for Edmonton tonight, not ready to return. So I have my concern. And Pittsburgh, they are a better defensive team without Karlsson and Letang. They are. They're a better defensive team. They're showing you that right now. Karlsson's a turnover machine, a liability half the time in his own zone. Letang's an older defenseman now that's not defending like he did in his prime. And both of those guys for the Pittsburgh Penguins are out. Karlsson's still out. We'll see about Letang. I think they've left the door open for him to maybe play tonight, but it's not a sure thing. But they've become a better defense. They are a better defensive team without them. And they have played decent defensive hockey during this stretch where they've given up 2 goals or less. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times in the last 10 games they've given up 2 goals or less. However, this Edmonton, and that Edmonton is the team I spoke about earlier, about these trends and performance patterns, teams off a loss where they score 1 goal or less. And that's where Edmonton is in this spot. They scored 1 goal against New Jersey. These numbers for Edmonton, after scoring 1 goal or less this season, are, eye-popping. It jumps off the page. After scoring 1 goal or less in their previous game, Edmonton has gone over their team total in all 6 games in that situation. 6-0 over their team total of 3.5. 6-0 in games where they scored 1 goal or less the previous game. 5-1 to the full game over in the 6 games for Edmonton this season after scoring 1 goal or less in the previous game. So, yes, I have my concerns about, the pop in the offense without Draisaitl, and we saw it on display against New Jersey. And yes, I have some concerns about Pittsburgh has been defending a little bit better lately. But it's a back-to-back for the Penguins after winning in Calgary last night. They have at the moment the inferior of the 2 goalies in net for them tonight. Arturs Shilovs on a back-to-back. He's not as good as Stuart Skinner. Skinner has actually played pretty well for the Penguins the last few starts. I think we still get an over out of this game with Pittsburgh and Edmonton, so I will go just full game over on this one. Full game over 6.5, minus a 115 or so, and I'm on the Edmonton team total over as well. It's hard not to be. Off a loss, scoring 1 goal or less. It's happened 6 times. They've gone 4+ goals, and they've cashed team total over 3.5 all 6 times, the Edmonton Oilers this season, after a loss where they score 1 goal or less in their previous game. Now, I know this one has no Draisaitl. The other ones did. I get it. But actually, that's not true. Last time it happened was the Vancouver game, Saturday night, last Saturday, guys, 6-0. Remember they pounded the shit out of Vancouver? They were off a game where they got shut out. They got shut out by Sorokin and the Islanders the game before that. They didn't have Draisaitl that night against Vancouver, and they still scored 6 goals off a shutout loss. So they've been just money, Edmonton, offensively after scoring 1 or less in the previous game. So that's what I'm banking on here. Alex, what do you think? Pittsburgh, Edmonton.
Yeah, that over I have circled for a live bet. Like I said, at 6.5, even with a minus $1.12. I want to wait and try and grab a 6 if possible. But I do have a draw here at Bet Online. Plus 339 is the price. I feel like this is once again another east-west spot where it could be close enough to where it goes past regulation. Those are some strong marks with Edmonton. Like I said, I just feel where this may be a little bit tighter of a game. That's why I want to try and get a better number on that over 6.5. Like I could see this one being right at 3-3 going into overtime and getting over there. So, like I said, just playing it safe, trying to grab a little bit better money on the over in game. But I do like that draw more pregame.
And Jari getting a second start against his old team, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Remember, he did start the game in Pittsburgh a few weeks ago. One of his first starts, I think it was, for Edmonton against Pittsburgh. In Pittsburgh, he got the win there in that game. And by the way, it's been, I believe, the last 4 meetings in Edmonton, Penguins, Oilers. Edmonton's also scored at least 4 goals in every one of those games. So keep that in mind. That's a good stat there for the draw from Jonathan. Pens have gone to overtime or a shootout 5 of the 8 games on the second night of a back-to-back this year.
That
so
is good.
There you go. Maybe draw is in play here in this one. David, how about you? Pittsburgh, Edmonton.
Yeah, this is one I wanted to get there on the over with. The Penguins have kind of been slowing it down a bit. I think the overs are 2-10 over their last 12. But this is one in theory I would love to get there with the over. But the Oilers have struggled without Draisaitl over the last few years. They slow it down on offense a little bit. But I mean, I think it's a tough spot for the Penguins off the road back to back. I'd probably lean to the Edmonton team total, but no play for me right now.
Yeah, Podkolzin for props, no question about that. We've been talking about it a lot. Hasn't scored every game, but certainly, although I do see he might be moved down tonight, which I don't know if this is accurate, but we'll see. But he has been moved up on the top line mostly, but I'm seeing maybe Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, Hyman could be your top line tonight. One thing to keep in mind, you got a Roslovic, Savoy, Isaac Howard, second line, potentially that's your second line tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. And if that's the case, there's going to be certainly a value with all 3. Roslovic, Savoy, and Savoy, I believe, did get the I'm pretty sure he got the 1 goal for the Edmonton Oilers against New Jersey the other night. But yes, he did. He scored their one and only goal. And he also scored against Pittsburgh earlier this season. So maybe it's a Matt Savoy night, plus 480, plus 475. And then, of course, also on that potential second line, Isaac Howard. Like I said, he's had a hard time scoring for this Oilers team. But if he's going to be on the second line and you're getting, in that 550, 600 range for him to score a goal, that could definitely be worth a look. Yes, we've just got the Carolina confirmation. Freddie Anderson, yep, confirmed in net. It looks like for the Carolina Hurricanes. So there you go. Good stuff there. Just what we wanted. Give me that first period goal with the Chicago Black. We will sprinkle on the plus 250. I'm not as confident in that because Carolina is a beast and they'll control the flow. And it's always a concern. Are they going to get enough fucking chances? Chicago.
Yep. They
Against
gotta let that
Carolina.
fucking puck fly against the Friday.
Shoot from everywhere. Exactly.
Yep.
I know they suppress shots like a motherfucker, Carolina, but my goodness, let's let it fly. Let her rip against Freddie Anderson tonight. See where it gets them. All right. Last game is actually ESPN. Whoa. We got an ESPN game tonight. Detroit and Minnesota.
They show hockey?
Yeah. The main network. You know,
True.
I'm seeing golf league and women's basketball and college basketball. And I'm like, all these different sports you're showing in prime time on your main network. Why don't you give us a hockey game? You are a rights holder after all, or so I thought. And finally, we do have one here. ESPN main network, Detroit, Minnesota. Minnesota minus 145, home favorites, 6 the total in this game. First period over, 4 straight in Minnesota games, full game over. You know the numbers. 12-1 to the over the last 13 Minnesota games. 15-4 to the over the 19 Minnesota games since Quinn Hughes was acquired from the Vancouver Canucks. We're just riding it at this point. Got to keep, you know what it is, ride the streaks. That's my staple in handicapping. And when it's 12-1 to the over in the last 13 Minnesota games and 15-4 to the over in the 19 games since Quinn Hughes got there, you just got to keep going with it. And I think after a very great goaltending battle with Joe Woll and John Gibson last night, a big division game, it turned into a defensive battle. It's not like there weren't chances. That game was 2-1 Detroit in overtime. Could have been 5-4. There were tons of great chances. The goaltending was not just good. It was great from both of those guys last night, Woll and Gibson, in that Red Wings-Leafs game. But there were enough chances that there could have been more goals than the 2-1 final score would indicate. There were glorious looks for both of those teams in that game. I think this is more of an up-and-down game tonight. You got Detroit fatigue setting in on a back-to-back. Minnesota doesn't seem to have a drop in offense as far as what they've been doing lately, even without Boldy and Johansson and Joel Eriksson-Ek. And we've still seen everybody step up. Got to bet Tarasenko to score a goal tonight, too. It's plus 270. It looks like the best price available. That's a great price considering someone that is just on a heater right now in the short term for the Minnesota Wild. So, yeah, this is an over by Fecta for me, but give me the draw as well. I think it's a nice little draw candidate here. Detroit, 2 straight games for the Red Wings have gone past regulation. Last night against Toronto, we saw that game go to overtime. We saw the game against Ottawa before that at home, 4-3 overtime win. 3 of the last 5 for the Detroit Red Wings have gone past regulation. 4 of the last 9 games for Minnesota have gone past regulation. So, like I said, we're riding this Minnesota over train one more time by Fecta and the draw. Alex, what do you think? Detroit, Minnesota.
Yeah, draw didn't make my card, but I may have to reevaluate that. The 3 things that I did already bet: first period over, 1.5 minus 125. I have the full game over 6 minus 115. But I also grabbed at FanDuel second period, both teams to score plus 132. Grab that pregame, and maybe I can look for a second period over in game. But I think that's going to be really the kind of the big money period within this game. But I like goals back and forth. But I might end up adding that draw, a little piece of that as well to the card. But I definitely like goals here in this spot tonight.
By the way, regarding Philip Gustafson's going to start tonight for Minnesota, and they continue to alternate him and Volstead for the most part. I haven't been impressed with Gustafson either lately. Volstead has definitely struggled. Gustafson's given up 3+ goals in 4 straight starts, 14 goals in his last 4 starts combined. What's troubling you, Gus? What's troubling Gus? What's troubling Gus right now is he's not keeping the puck out of the net at the moment like he did earlier in the season. He's gone through a bit of a rough patch. And, of course, for Detroit, we know that isn't confirmed, but pretty much you can bank on Cam Talbot starting here on a back-to-back for the Detroit Red Wings after it was Gibson last night. And he's the inferior of their 2 goalies right now for the Detroit Red Wings. So there you go. Cam Talbot and Philip Gustafson. I think both teams could do some damage.
And we talk about how you got guys and teams getting ready to go over to the Olympics, getting ready to go to Milan. This is something to keep up with Minnesota because there's more rumblings and talks about this Wild team possibly making a trade. And one of the pieces that could be floated around in that trade is Jesper Wallstedt, which I think would be absolute just malpractice from a franchise standpoint if you give away a guy you've been talking about being the number one goalie, the number one prospect in the organization for the last 3 years, just to get somebody like a Vincent Trocheck as a rental. But if that is the case and that gets more traction, and you're talking about a Gustafsson who's going to be the number one guy down the stretch, then that's something to keep an eye on, because like I said, he has not played well. This tandem has been working well, and that's the reason why Minnesota's been so successful, to split it up in the middle of the year potentially, and whether you do it before or after the Olympic break, that could cause a rift in that organization and how things move going forward, in my opinion.
Yeah, great points there. It'll be interesting to see how they proceed. Yeah, that Gustafsson song references Gus the Polar Bear by the Tragically Hip. You got to know the Tragically Hip to know that one. Which not everyone does. A lot of hockey fans do, but there's a few people that may not. What do you think here in this one? David, final game, Detroit, Minnesota.
Yeah, I got Minnesota at minus 140 here. I think they've been much better since Hughes has been there. +7 expected goal margin over their last 6 games. It's a tough spot for the Red Wings. Road back-to-back off of an overtime win, sorry. I think it's a good spot for the Wild at home, and I'm good with laying the minus 140 with them here.
Yeah, I'd definitely lean to the Minnesota side as well. I think it's tricky for Detroit. Big win in the division against Toronto. Talbot now in net back-to-back. Minnesota off the loss to Montreal, where they lost in gut-wrenching fashion. They felt the pain of the loss for a much different reason, just losing that game in regulation, not getting a point. And we felt the sting of that loss just as painfully, because so many of us had the draw in that Minnesota-Montreal game, and we just had it snatched out of our hands there in the last 15 seconds of that game, courtesy of Goal Caulfield. But that's the way it goes. Yeah, obviously Tarasenko. And not only that, Tarasenko is a former Detroit Red Wing. So you got the former player angle here, too, with his 3-game goal streak, plus 280. If I were to look at anyone on the Detroit side, for props, Casper again had chances last night. He's getting chances, and he's on the top line with Larkin and Raymond. You just got to hope you keep pounding away and taking in to score, and eventually hope he'll break through at some point. Great stuff. Awesome show. David, great job as always on a Thursday. Shout out to everyone in the chat at the like button. We appreciate it very much. Make sure you check out wizardsportspicks.com. #1 ranked handicapper, yours truly, in the NFL and NHL on the website. It's been a tremendous season in both of those sports. We got NBA college basketball premium picks as well. 3-day, 7-day, 30-day, 1-year, all sports, all access passes available as well. So check out the website, wizardsportspicks.com. And check out patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. And again, reminder, 2 live betcasts exclusively for Patreon members next week. Join us and sign up now so you can be part of it. 2 live betcasts exclusive to Patreon next week. So get on board now, just $10 per month. Your membership goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it rolling long term. So check it out. Get on board, just $10 per month. Patreon.com/iceguys.
And also check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. You got 4 days left to save 20% off all orders in the store. Just click on the redeem button at the homepage. Add all your items to the cart, and then 20% will be taken off at checkout. We've got everything in stock right now, so don't delay. 4 days left. Save 20% off. That's over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, let's see if we can keep that bargain bin special of the night heater going. Bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
Please for yourself with my mouth is no one. Royal Cannabis, where the kings and queens shop.
Thanks to all our sponsors, including Royal Cannabis. Check them out, royalcannabisshop.com. 20% off with promo code ICEGUYS. All right, bargain bin special of the night. Another one on the board in the win column last night. It was one for me last night with Anthony Duclair, New York Islanders plus 330. Again, we seem to be on this great streak where at least every show we're giving you one bargain bin special, cashing from somebody. Who's it going to be tonight? Maybe it'll be more than one of us. Who the hell knows? Alex, bargain bin special of the night for Thursday. What do you got?
Let's head on down to David's neck of the woods, Raleigh, North Carolina. You got the Hawks skating in the town. One guy coming back to the lineup. He's been a darling of the bargain bin special. That's one Frank Nazar. You get him anytime goal scorer plus 360. Said he's been gearing to get back in the lineup for a while now. Like I said, he had the broken jaw, but he's been skating for a couple of weeks, wearing the fishbowl. I like him to get back in the lineup and get on the board tonight. Plus 360. That's the first bargain bin. The second bargain bin, that should actually really make the first bargain bin because we will hope it happens earlier. In that same game, it's Tyler Bertuzzi getting the first goal of the contest. You can get plus 1,800. You could also go with first away team goal plus 750, which I will have a piece of, but for record purposes, plus 1,800 for first goal with Tyler Bertuzzi. That is my second bargain bin special. So Frank Nazar, anytime goal plus 360. Tyler Bertuzzi, first goal of the game plus 1,800. My two bargain bin specials for this Thursday night.
All right, there we go. A couple of Hawk bargain bin specials for Alex with bargain bin special of the night for Thursday. David, bargain bin special of the night. And David's been going not so much every week player props, but finding some interesting plus 300 or better prices with other types of bets. But what do you got for us today?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways I wanted to go with this, approaching some props on some Canes defensemen with the Blackhawks allowing the most shots to D-men, and we know the Canes love to rifle it. But I'm going to go with Keandre Miller plus 600 anytime goal scorer, and Alexander Nikishin anytime goal scorer plus 600 as well. I think they're both just going to be rifling it. They're both getting Nikishin on the power plays, has been firing the puck a ton. Keandre Miller's getting 20. I think he's averaging 24 minutes per game over the last 5 with Shane Gostisbehere out. So I like both of these. I think the Canes should control the zone time and get a lot of chances from the blue line.
There you go. A couple of defensemen for the Carolina Hurricanes, Keandre Miller and Alexander Nikishin for the Carolina Hurricanes for David with his bargain bin special of the night. My bargain bin specials of the night for this Thursday. This was a good card to choose from as well. That's kind of been the norm lately as far as bargain bin choices are concerned. My first one is, I kind of locked into this one immediately. Once he ended up signing the contract extension, and we can get plus 310 still at a couple of books with him. Josh Doan, Buffalo Sabres, plus 310 for my first bargain bin special of the night for this Thursday card. The second bargain bin special of the night for this Thursday card, we got to take it. Mason Marchment, Columbus Blue Jackets, back in the lineup, back from injury, and facing his old team, the Dallas Stars, and on the top line too, with Adam Fantilli and Kirill Marchenko. So Mason Marchment, Columbus, plus 330. Josh Doan, Buffalo, plus 310 for my two bargain bin specials of the night for Thursday. Alex, best bet.
Nice. Let's go to Music City, Nashville. You got the Preds taking on the Ottawa Senators, and like this has been one of the hottest runs right now. 11 straight first period overs for the Senators. You can still get a great price with this at FanDuel, minus 128. Give me the first period over with Ottawa and Nashville is my Thursday best bet.
All right, Ottawa, Nashville, over 1.5 first period for Alex. Best bet. David, best bet.
We're staying in the prop shop with this one. Like I've been saying, the Canes should dominate the zone time, get a lot of shots on goal. Spencer Knight obviously can hang true back there. I'm sure the Canes are going to be shooting it from everywhere with the zone time. I like Spencer Knight over 27.5 saves at minus 120. I think this one hits pretty easily. I think you can look at some alt overs on this one as well. I think 34 or more is in the plus 500 range, so I like that too. But over 27.5 saves at minus 120 is my best bet.
I can only imagine Perlo nodding his head in agreement right now, wherever he is, as you're saying that, because he loves his goalie props and his over saves props. And I'm sure, and I already know he said in the chat earlier, he likes the Spencer Knight. There he is. There it is. There we go. He says in the chat, Knight over saves his money. So I told you, somewhere he's nodding in agreement with David there with Spencer Knight over saves for the Chicago Blackhawks tonight as the best bet. All right, my best bet for this Thursday NHL card. Boy, there's a lot of good choices, but let's go with old reliable. This Minnesota Wild team, man. What an overrun it continues to be for them. 15-4 in 19 games since they acquired Quinn Hughes. Let's go over 6, -115 with the Detroit Red Wings and the Minnesota Wild. A little watch and win action on ESPN. It's always the moniker I use with my premium picks. So there you go. Watch and win on ESPN there. Detroit, Minnesota, over 6. For my best bet here for this Thursday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Great show as always. And tomorrow we're back. Matty Robb will be with us. We got the weekend shows. We've only got 2 weeks until the Olympic break, if you can believe it. We got 2 weeks of NHL hockey until the Olympic break, which is Thursday, February 5th is the last day of NHL action before the Olympic break. So it really is that final stretch of NHL games before the Olympic break. So time to make money is the way I see it. Pounce on those opportunities. If you like something, push the envelope a little bit more. You don't unload, but maybe you push the envelope just a little bit more as far as volume here in these 2 weeks leading into the Olympic break. But like I said, that Olympic break will be here before you know it. But great stuff as always with David. Great show as always. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast if you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith and for David C. from Raleigh, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll be back with you tomorrow on Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern for another edition of the Ice Guys.